Hi, welcome back to Climb to Glory. I'm Joe Lababera speaking again for our second talk on the Climb to Glory channel. Again, I'm a father, a husband, retired military officer of 21 years, former Marine, Army infantryman, now a farmer in Northwest New Jersey. In our first talk, I spoke about the what, which is the fight for surviving and prospering in a modern world that takes more than it gives, while it corrupts the morality and virtues of children, utterly destroys our legacies, and squanders our sacrifices. I blame the policies of neoliberalism for this, which are now the exclusive domain of the Democratic Party. I mentioned Ernst Jünger and his concept of the forest dweller and what happens when a society falls apart, referencing my observations serving in Kosovo, Iraq, and Afghanistan. I mentioned my motivation for entering the political arena as a Republican operative after witnessing the Sussex County Democratic Party storm a county commission meeting and try to stop it from doing its mandate, passing a popular resolution that they were overwhelmingly elected to do. I neglected to mention, though, in our last talk, my faith in God during that video, and I offer now that our Lord deserves all the credit for our success and happiness. And through Him and prayer, in a life of spiritual devotion to the Lord and Savior, we've found our way. In this talk, I'm going to describe the how of the fight. The last talk I described the what, the to fight. So in a mission statement, you have the who, what, when, where, how, and why. I talked about the what, which is we have to fight. It's time to fight. It's not a time anymore for collaboration or business as usual. Now I'm going to talk about the how. Our Republican Party, it isn't very good at fighting. It loses a lot. My old commander, General Mark Milley, back when he was a colonel, he used to say, "Gentlemen, we are in a results-oriented business. Is the flag on Mount Suribachi, or is the flag not on Mount Suribachi?" So we got to put aside the paradigms of good enough or measures of performance and look at results. I've never been in a role or a position or a job in life where I wasn't judged on my results. And I find it very, very bizarre that so many people can go so far and do so much and have so few results. However, that seems to be a problem of the age, a cultural issue. But we can't let it contaminate our party, and we can't let it contaminate how we choose to live in this world of modernity. So I have some thoughts on how to improve it. And these aren't just thoughts. I am currently putting them into action. I'm a man of action. What I say I mean, and I do what I say. So in the upcoming videos, I'll be discussing the why and the where and the when and the who of the fight. So 5 total videos to kick this channel off. And we're going to talk about the mission for fighting to save our families, our communities, and our nation from what I refer to as the demon, which is the American Democratic Party, or the Democratic Party. First, to fight we must embrace a warrior spirit. Now I know that sounds like a cliche. It sounds like something you'd see on a self-help channel or some book written by some ex-special forces guy or some mean, scary-looking dude who makes yuppies feel like they want to be him or something to that effect. I always find it comical when I see people who've never fought in any capacity whatsoever running around doing physical events and Tough Mudders and all that kind of stuff as if that's their way of tapping into a warrior spirit. It's not. Physical fitness is great, but it has nothing to do with the warrior spirit. The Republicans don't currently have the warrior spirit. We Republicans, as a group collectively, lack a warrior spirit. I personally view the large Republican Party nationwide as collegiate, somewhat collaborative, cliquey, and bureaucratic. And this is because, like most Americans, in recent times, they've learned to define their identity and their success through academia. Academia is the gateway to success in America. In previous generations, it was not really. It was just like kind of something that the rich did. But academia wasn't the only thing that got you there. But academia defines people now. And what's especially sad is men are letting themselves be defined by academia, what school you went to, what brand you are. I mean, what you do when you were at school, what sport did you play. This isn't indicative of character or manhood at all, But maybe the old colleges were. Maybe the old colleges were great bastions of character development. I mean, my father went to Columbia in the in the late 40s, after he finished in the Second World War. He was a lot older. He was 50 when I was born, and he talked about it like it was the greatest experience in the world. It turned him around, yada yada, et cetera, et cetera. And we know colleges aren't like that today. The U.S. military based their officer selection strictly on colleges. I mean, they wanted college boys, they would say, to be officers because the colleges did produce men who were physically fit, intelligent, healthy, mature, capable, etc., etc., etc. They don't do that anymore. I mean, if I told you somebody had a degree from a university, it doesn't matter the university, would you trust their life with them based on that? Would you trust them in life or death situations? No, of course not. Of course not. But there was a time when they were. There was a time when they were. I had a bachelor's, I got a master's of arts in national security studies, I got an MBA. Nothing I've ever gotten from a school or a course has defined me. It's helped me think, it's made me smarter in some ways, but it's not defined me. I believe a man is defined by his words, his actions, his accomplishments, and the value that those close to us assign to our fellowship. That is, and then of course, ultimately, it's our spirit, the intangible instincts and the intangible way of being, the way we feel and approach and understand things that's beyond the psychological. I don't believe psychology really understands the depths of the human mind and heart at all, and that's what we call the spirit. And I believe from this is where our true character develops over time, and how our true character endures over time. So now I'll get to the point here. What is the warrior spirit? What is it? Is it running triathlons? Is it fighting MMA? Is it hunting big game animals? Is it some touchy-feely way of showing you have more empathy and virtue than the next guy? Is it donating to causes? What is the warrior spirit? I have a definition for it, and I'm going to put it out there. The warrior spirit is the willingness to risk what's valuable out of love for something greater than ourselves. That's it. That's it. Are you disappointed? Are you surprised? Were you expecting to hear some kind of blood and guts speech? No, because the glory of the warrior spirit isn't what we experience. Being an actual warrior, actually fighting, every fight I was ever in, whether it was being 8 years old and fighting on the schoolyard, whether it was boxing, whether it was doing combatives, whether it was a firefight, whether it was IEDs, rockets, and mortars, whatever contest or combat I was ever in, whether it was intense personal relationships, whether it was overmounting an obstacle, whether it was working really hard to achieve a goal, whatever it's been, whatever I've been through, it sucked. It sucked. It took a lot out of you. It wore you out. And especially violence. Violence really poisons the soul. It really takes a lot out of you. I've never had a triumphant feel after a violent interaction that long-term wasn't horrible. Long-term wasn't something that needed to be processed and then compartmentalized. So by all means, the true benefit of having the warrior spirit is not for oneself. It's not. So when I see all this imagery in self-help and all this mantra that influencers have, and they're trying to tell you that to be a warrior is this fulfilling thing, it's not. It's actually a sacrifice. Being a warrior sucks. I wouldn't wish it on anybody, but many of us are called to do it. Many men I've served with, much better men than me. Many men much better than me. Much better warriors than me. I don't know any of them that indulged in it or loved it. I sure as hell didn't. I was called to it, and I kept doing it almost in a masochistic way. But the life of a warrior is not a healthy and good one. It is definitely a sacrifice. So to have the warrior spirit, in I's view, is to take on the sins of the world or the sins of your environment in order to safeguard what we believe in and what we love. That's what having it means. It isn't exemplified. The early Christian martyrs were warriors. Mother Teresa, I think, was a warrior. I don't believe that a warrior is necessarily a practitioner of violence. It's somebody who's willing to put it all on the line, to do what needs to be done, especially if it's distasteful, for the sake of everyone else. The story, John Steinbeck's Mice and Men. Here's a guy with all the heart in the world who loved this big, simple guy who was strong as an ox, and they would go through America together and work as hired hands on farms. But the big guy, his name was Lenny. I mean, he was so simple. He was a loving, good guy, but he kept doing dumb things. He kept stealing little animals that he wanted as pets, but he didn't know how to love them, so he'd end up crushing them and killing them. And then one day he ends up killing a girl. The girl comes on to him. It was a girl who was being silly. And Lenny didn't know how to handle it, so he kills her. So his buddy George gets him out of there in this story, because he knows that when the farm hands catch him, they will torture him and hang him. But he knows that Lenny can't live without him, and he knows that they'll chase Lenny and hound Lenny to the depths of the earth. So he takes Lenny to a river, and he kills him. He puts him down. He puts him out of his misery like a rabid dog, and it broke this guy George's heart. He took on the sin of murder to show mercy on Lenny and give justice to the people that Lenny had wronged. I'm not saying this was the right thing or the wrong thing to do, but this is what I mean by taking on sin. Warfare, combat, is taking sin upon yourself. It doesn't matter if it's war or not. It doesn't matter if it's justified or not. Killing another human being is the worst thing. It's one of the worst things that any human being can ever do. But it's a sin we take on for the sake of protecting our country, for the sake of our national interests, and many other things we do, unpleasant tasks, in order to protect and safeguard what we love. And that's what I see that's lacking in the Republican Party. They don't want to fight. The Democrats fight, but the Republicans, well, not all Republicans, but for the most part as a party, we don't fight, or we don't fight effectively, and that's what I'm going to talk about here. I want to give you two scenarios to exemplify this, two metaphorical scenarios. Imagine your family is starving. There's no food. Now your kids are hungry. You got little precious kids. Like my kids, they're small, they're precious, they're like little angels. I love them. I mean, of course I love them, but they're so precious and they're so innocent. And imagine they're crying for food. I've seen kids cry for food overseas. I know, and I myself has been very hungry in various situations in life and training and stuff. And I can tell you, you get these things called hunger pangs. And when you're hungry, you'll do anything to eat. Let me tell you, all this crap people talk about in terms of, oh, I wouldn't do this, I wouldn't do that. Try starving. Try starving. The thoughts that will go through your mind will make you question your very self. It'll give you some real soul searching. So imagine your kid's not able to eat. I couldn't think of any worse pain in the world as the inability to protect and provide for my kids. That to me is endgame. That to me is, I couldn't think of anything worse than that in my life. That is the ultimate measure of my existence. So your kids are hungry, and there's a bear. You're living out in the woods, or you're in a hunter-gatherer society, and there's a bear that's stalking your family. You gotta kill the bear, and you gotta eat it and feed it to your family. That's your mission. Now the bear, it has its cubs. The bear has to live. The bear, the land is the bear's home, just like yours. But yet you gotta risk your own life with your spear, with your bow. And you got to kill that bear to use its meat to feed your family. That's an example of the warrior spirit. You do what needs to be done for the greater good, and you take the burden upon yourself. You don't pass it off. You don't go to your kids and make them feel guilty about the bear or what you had to do. You smile, and you watch them enjoy that delicious steak, and you watch their hunger pains go away. And you bear the pain and the stress of what happened upon yourself. That is a warrior. That is a warrior. And that's the warrior instinct that we need to bring to our party. I'll give you a second scenario. This is what I call the blowhard warrior spirit. It's the false narrative. It's about personal validation. It's about seeking your own glory, your own personal power, valor and fame. And you're not using your powers, your skills, and your abilities to accomplish results or get something done. You're not, and I'm not. I don't begrudge somebody who profits off of their efforts. I don't begrudge somebody who cashes it. I don't begrudge that at all. But when it's completely one-sided, I do. So you are only serving. This person is only serving their own interest. This is not a warrior spirit. And how do you tell who this person is? Nothing results from what they do. Nothing ends up benefiting. There's no result. There's no end game. There's no score. There's no bringing in the bacon. But that person is always very active and they're very predominant. In the military, you see them always on the radio, reporting everything they see, talking about everything they see, giving assessments, but they're really giving no commands. They're not doing anything. They're just on the radio all the time because they want to get the attention. In the business world, you see them as the ones who are always presenting and talking and acting like they're in the middle of everything, but none of their ideas are there, none of their coordinations are there, and they're not doing any of the analysis or research. That's what I mean by the fake, the blowhard warrior spirit. Nothing's ever their fault. You can easily label them the gray man because you don't really know them. You never really know them. You never really figure them out. And they never seem to accomplish anything. Now, in public eye, I'll throw some names out there that I think are blowhard warriors. Al Sharpton. He's a big blowhard. Walks around, acts like he's fighting for this great cause all the time. All that guy's doing is making himself rich at exploiting tragic circumstances, in a lot of cases, circumstances that are complete fabrications. Sharpton's a great example. Adam Schiff, what we're finding out now, he's a perfect example of a blowhard. He was going to expose Russia's great asset, who supposedly was the president, and he had all this classified. Turns out he was completely full of crap, and he was lying, and he was misusing classified info and misportraying it, and he was inventing it all just to take out his political rival. You can't get worse than that. You really can't. You really can't. I respect I respect some of the worst criminals in history because at least they stood for something. At least they believed in something. At least those people were actually out there taking risks. Schiff, nah. This guy is as bad as it comes. He definitely should, in my view, he should be criminally prosecuted for what he did with classified information. Just so you know, in the military, if you blow classified information, like seriously blow it like this, you go to jail. You go to jail. There is none of this, these hand waves these politicians get. You don't. If you so much as let a classified info slip, and if it's even something that's unconsequential, you're getting a letter of reprimand at least. And that's if nothing happened as because of it. But you, like Hillary Clinton, you plug a non-classified server into a classified server, you're done. You're done after that. She caused the greatest OPSEC spillage event in history. In history. That would have been 6 years in prison for anybody in the military. And that woman was almost president of the United States. So that's way bigger than any erroneous document with secrets stamped on it that they find in Mar-a-Lago or even Biden's crap. This is all small potatoes. But what Hillary did, that caused one of the greatest spillage events in American history. Spillage is when classified information, serious classified information, gets completely released to the bad guys. And that's what she caused by that. And no Democrat, I can't take the Democrats seriously for their apologists over this. And I can't take any military officer seriously who would make an apology over that when they damn well know that they're the same generals that came out and supported Hillary. I know I'm digressing here. Those guys would have sent someone like me or any private soldier to prison if they'd have done what Hillary had done. And the fact that they came out and endorsed her, yeah, General Allen, I'm talking about you, and that just shows the gross hypocrisy of the general officer class in many ways. Nevertheless, Hillary is ultimate at pandering. When faced with real warriors, the blowhard panics. They run away. They undermine, they undercut, they hate the real warrior. The real warrior is like you look in your reflection and you see something ugly. And because it comes right back at you. So the blowhards will automatically be in contest with the true warriors, almost always, unless they mature or they grow up. But that's what it'll be. So how do we Republicans, how do we conservatives, how do we do this? How do we fight effectively? We got to get our spirit straight. The spirit is an intangible sense of understanding. It's like a compass. It's like a ballast stone in you that keeps you balanced when everything goes to hell. It's your presence. It's your calm. It's your being, and it doesn't have to be calm in terms of calm. I mean, you can be a high intense individual, but it's that balance. It's that ability to stay on track. The person who has a weak spirit, they're like squirrel, squirrel, squirrel. Oh, one day I believe in this. One day I believe in that. One day I'm doing this. I changed my mind about that. Oh, really? This is the way the wind's blowing. I'm going to go this way. So the warrior spirit is a very powerful, consistent, driven way of doing things. I was once described in an eval as the most fearless and intense and driven company grade officer that man had served with. in his entire military career, and I took that very complimentary. I'm not saying this to brag, but I used the term driven in this respect. Driven. That means I don't need outside motivation. Outside motivation actually backfires on someone who's driven. A driven person is someone like there's a creed in the military called the Rage Creed. It's like, though I be the lone survivor, I'll accomplish my mission though I be the lone survivor. That's the kind of mentality a warrior has, however it's expressed. So I got 5 habits that I want the Republicans to adopt. Us Republicans, and I'm a county level volunteer operative. I'm nobody important, but I'm starting to observe a lot of things, especially in the state of New Jersey. And there's 5 habits that I want to see our Republican Party take and incorporate culturally, institutionally. The first one is a warrior takes care of their own. That's the most important thing. If you don't take care, it's called force protection. If you don't take care of your own troops, how do you expect to win? You can't run an army and not pay them, not feed them, not reward them, and don't train them. You just can't. I mean, you could get a lot out of somebody who has belief, and you can get a lot of sacrifice from somebody, but in the end, it's going to come down to, unless it's a great noble cause that is very clear to everyone, and it's like life or death, but even then, there has to be a light at the end of the tunnel. The American Revolution with our great patriots, if you stood just one day in battle against the Redcoats, you got one hell of a pension after the war. So you can't expect people to sacrifice and take the sins of the world upon themselves to do that work and do that effort, and then just ignore them and forget they exist. But that happens with our Republican Party all the time. Using military events as reference. I mean, the great generals, like, I'll just reference Napoleon. I mean, he won great victories everywhere. Even his retreat from Russia was masterful in terms of protecting his forces. It was being harried by the Cossacks and the Russians as they were retreating back into Europe. But he promoted men from the ranks. He gave awards for heroism. He made sure his wounded had care when they went home. He positioned all of his officers and senior guys in powerful roles when they left the military. But when he sent his army to Spain, when he sent part of his army to Spain under the command of his brother and a couple of other guys, they didn't pay their troops or feed their troops. And then even though they were a much larger veteran army, the Duke of Wellington, beat the crap out of him with a much smaller, less professional force because he didn't extend his line he didn't extend past his lines of support. He fed his men mostly. He rewarded them. He kept discipline. He kept purpose and direction. He gave them vision, purpose, and direction at all times. And he was a better general than Napoleon's generals. And starving, disillusioned men are not going to fight and die for you. They're just not. You're going to get compliance, but you're not going to get commitment. Commitment comes from good leadership. It comes from that warrior spirit. Compliance, yeah, I'll do what you say. All right, I'll do what you say. And as soon as you turn your back, I do my own thing. You adapt a spirit of compliance when the situation's a crock, when the leadership is bad, when nothing makes sense and it's just stupid. That's when you go into compliance mode. But if you want to win wars, you got to have commitment. You got to be committed. And there's many ways to express it, but you got to understand the concept of that. Today, the RNC, as I see it, and the state GOP leaders, they come from significant wealth. I see them as a class of country club elites. These aren't guys that would have beers with you. These aren't guys who just hang out with anybody. They're definitely inner circle kind of people, and they're all very, very wealthy. They may have good intentions. I've met a lot of them, and I think they're real gentlemen. I think they're very smart. They're very classy. And if you're their friend, they'd be good guys. They're not bad guys at all. However, their approach is, and they're smart and competent people, very smart and competent people. But their approach, I think, is missing something. Who's really doing the fighting for the Republican Party? And are they taking care of those people? Are they acknowledging those people? Party operatives are expected to volunteer. They take a lot of guff. A lot. They get doxxed. They get harassed. If they have jobs or careers, they can get fired. If they're caught saying or doing something that the Dems don't like, they tell some corporation you work at. Next thing you know, you get fired over it. They take a lot of risk. In the whole, they're expected to knock on doors, get signatures, run voter registrations. There's no tangible benefit. They don't get paid. They don't get rewarded. Over and over and over again, I've watched operatives go and ask for help from the party, and they get the old Italian, go somewhere else. Yeah, I've seen that over and over again with all of them. Now, the ones I run, I take care of. If we're running a fundraiser and I have operatives, I help them somehow. If they'll take it, I'll give them a little bit of money, or I'll hook them up some way, or I'll make sure that things are done so their appreciation is shown. But the mainstream Republican Party does not do that to its operatives, as I'm seeing it. And when I finished my tour as my 2-year term as Skylands Tea Party, as a regional conservative grassroots group, I was the president for 2 years. I gave out plaques and awards to people that the party nominated as their hitters. I had plaques ordered and I award ceremony, and it meant the world to these guys and these ladies. It meant the world to them. I have never seen the GOP do that at all. Everything I see in the GOP is they glorify their cliques, they glorify their office holders, and it's all about me, it's all about them, it's all about me. It was what I did, and this is what I think, and this is what I do, and this is all the things I think I do great. And blah, blah. But, I mean, what about all the people who set up their venues, set up their events, bring in, cater their food, drive them around? You know, I've never seen an event where they thank the caterers. You know, I do, but I've never seen them where they thank the people who actually help them. And this is a real problem. This is a real problem. The Democrats, it's the opposite. Their operatives get paid. Their operatives are given jobs if they succeed. Their operatives, if they have a problem or an issue, they'll even send lawyers to help them out. Their operatives get this. Operatives get this big. Their volunteers get this big, warm embrace. Ours don't. Ours don't. And then we wonder why we lose. We wonder why we can't get young people out there. We wonder why we don't get more men out there. We wonder why is it? I mean, if your operatives are coming almost entirely from retirees and people with money who have nothing else to do, you got a problem. It's not sustainable. So the Dems take care of their troops and the Republicans generally don't. That's not how a warrior runs things. A warrior takes care of his people, and a warrior's troops are honored and proud to be with him. And a warrior's troops are willing to follow and fight for that person. It's not easy. I've failed as a leader in some places, and I've succeeded in a leader in some places. Dynamics are very important. So the leadership it starts from the top. If the leadership at the top is flawed or inept, the leaders under them aren't going to be that good either. It's really hard to be a great leader. I saw a battalion once fail at a training event at the National Training Center. Fail horribly. Failed disastrously. And I remember seeing the XO and the Sergeant Major, who were phenomenal guys, and the S3, who were the operations officer. But what could they do? The battalion commander wouldn't make a decision. The battalion commander wouldn't even show up. The battalion commander would say wacky things. I think there was something wrong with this guy. He ended up getting relieved. Relieved meaning fired. But there was only so much those guys could do, because otherwise they would have to usurp their commander's authority. And a good leader will not be disloyal. So when you put your junior guys in a predicament, what do? Do I usurp the person under me to lead effectively? Or do I not lead effectively so I can be loyal to the person over me? I've been in that dilemma. And it sucks. It's soul destroying. That's what you have to look at. And that's what I think we got going on in the GOP right now. So we also have a problem where volunteers help and nobody's giving them guidance, nobody's doing anything to help them. And you get little cliques within the parties, and they actually undermine and undercut and slander the volunteers. Now, the volunteers doing all this for nothing. They're doing this for free. And they're helping. And they're getting criticized and undermined. It's rough. There's a lot, and the party doesn't keep discipline with this. So that's another thing we'll talk about. Number two, a warrior. So number one is take care of your own. You got to take care of your people. And number two is you got to lead by example. You got to set an example. Now, this doesn't mean you're out there doing everything all the time, but you got to be able to act and talk in a way where people can feed off of it and operate and nest off of it. The Republican Party tells their operatives to do all this stuff. Now, I did a fundraiser, and it was a successful one. And my party chair mentored me, guided me, showed me how to do it, He was phenomenal. We happen to have one of the good party chairs in my county. That's why I'm here 2 years later working, because I like him and I respect him. And he gets things done. He's a good dude. But, I see other groups that don't do that. I see other groups that are a mess. And as a result, they don't fundraise very well. And when they do fundraise, it's like a circle jerk. It's the same people donating and then donating back to each other. They don't know how to expand their base. So it's leading by example means you're teaching and showing people to do your job. We don't do that well. We don't do that well at all. A warrior leads by example. So this way, if the head of the New Jersey GOP decides to leave, quit, or God forbid something happens to him, or something like that happens, or he gets canned or voted out, whatever, the person who steps up should be able to run things as effectively or better. But there's none of this training or passing on habits or processes or mentoring or grooming anybody. It's not happening. Not that I'm seeing, and definitely that we're not experiencing. I mean, we're losing in New Jersey. I mean, we lost the governorship. We're losing major towns. We're losing major cities and councils. We're gaining school boards. And that's not because of the New Jersey GOP. That's Tea Party, Arise New Jersey. Those are all the advocacy groups that are taking the school boards. The New Jersey GOP has left us flapping with the school board battle. We've gone the school boards. We've argued. We've had the media blast us. We've been slandered. We've come under a lot of heat to fight to get back these school boards from these real sick people. I mean, they put out books with gay porn, the images and everything, and they want to give them to kids who are under 12 years old. They want to give this to kids in first grade. I mean, this is insane what's going on in the way they're trying to damage and corrupt these kids and groom these kids. And they're doing it all under the virtue of protecting the LG community. It isn't about that. It isn't about that. We got something really bad going on, and parents are seeing it, and the school boards are completely blowing off the parents horribly. You've seen it in Virginia, and you've seen it at the federal level where they're actually bringing in law enforcement to target the parents for just free speech, for trying to protect their kids. So where's the example? Where's our party leadership on this? They've been absent on the school board issue. They've been absent, and the school board's where the fight was. But where they put their effort are for the council seats and the county commission seats, and they're losing. So advocacy groups and grassroots groups are winning at the school boards, and the party is losing at municipality levels. We can parlance and say, well, we actually won more towns. Yeah, you won little towns that have 1,000, 2,000 people in it, but the big towns are falling to the Democrats. The towns that have the county GDP, the towns that have all the intellectual capital, the towns that are bringing in and developing and building developments and bringing in businesses, they're going to the Democrats, and the Republican Party doesn't seem to give a damn or have a plan to fix it. They point the fingers at the town points the fingers at the party. It's a mess. It's a mess. It's a very incohesive situation, and if they don't start fixing it, we're gonna have a problem. We lost the governorship of New Jersey, and we shouldn't have. We should have won that one. But here's just an example. I wanted to help in the worst way, and I wanted to get involved, and that campaign ignored me. Finally, my party chair says, hey, this guy Joe wants to help. Why don't you let him help? So I'm coming to them with, education, degrees. I'm a published author. I'm a communications guy, media guy. I write. I do interviews. I run interviews. I had a lot I wanted to offer. I was the president of a regional grassroots group, the Skylands Tea Party. You want to talk about swaying votes? My group thought the Republican nominee was a rhino and wasn't going to vote for him. So I'm getting in front of my group telling them that they should vote for this guy. And that guy's campaign treated me like crap. And when I finally got to talk to somebody, you know what he told me to do? Oh, yeah, could you go put out signs? Put out signs and we'll see what we can do with you. Hey, look, I got no problem putting out signs. I've done it before. But you're a state-level campaign manager, and you got a guy like me, and you're telling me you need me to put out signs? Don't you have enough volunteers? Don't you want me to do things with my Tea Party? Don't you want me to do things with my county GOP? Don't you want me to write for you? Don't you want me to message for you? We got people for that. Just put out signs. Okay, that's how you value me. Good luck. I'm not going to waste my time with you. You got college kids putting out signs. You got somebody like me, you do this too. So that's not ego. That's me economizing my talent and my time. I said, I'm going to keep my time with my own party and with my own local people because they appreciate me and I can help my local people. But that's how that governor lost. That was all over the state. His campaign ruined him. He picked the wrong campaign. And the campaign people he ran, the consultants he picked, these guys were given to him by the party. So the party is losing, and they don't want to fix it. And we got to help them fix it. Hence, we're doing this talk. So they need a warrior spirit, and they need to lead by example. And I've seen a couple other campaigns that were disasters. They were disasters. And we could have won. We could have won more. We could have won at least one more congressional district. We could have won so much in this red wave that was supposed to happen, but we blew it. We blew it, and I am putting pure blame on on a lack of warrior spirit and leadership in our state party. There's a Facebook group called Reform the New Jersey GOP. It's a very good group, and a lot of good points are made. The party ignores these guys. These are bright, smart people talking on this group. Party ignores them. If the party doesn't adapt and change, we're going to become like California or Massachusetts, and the Dems are going to just dominate this state. And it's a shame, because this is one of the richest states in the Union. This is a state with the potential to be the richest state in the Union. New Jersey is an incredibly powerful, incredibly resource-rich state. It's a very, very powerful state, but it's not being used right. And the GOP could get this state. Imagine the amount of electoral votes you'd have, the amount of money and donations you'd get, the amount of people you could put in appointed positions. This would be a very influential state in the GOP. But the GOP, the RNC, writes this state off because they don't trust the New Jersey GOP. And we got to fix that. We need a warrior instinct in the New Jersey GOP. And obviously, I'm talking about this on my video channel because they don't listen to me or have anything to do with me. Now, at the county level, there's a lot of great guys. There's a lot of great parties at the county level. But at the state level, they don't. They'll be nice to me if the chair brings them over to me. But it's an interesting game that's being played right now. We're like a bunch of tribes. And the Democrats are a legion. They're like a Roman legion. They all work together. They close ranks together. They back each other's plays, whereas we fight amongst each other like crazy. We have so much infighting. We have so much undermining and catty little games. I'll get to that in a second and why. But number three, a warrior takes the fight to the enemy. So a warrior takes care of their own. A warrior leads by example, and a warrior takes his fight to the enemy. That's what a warrior does. This is a phrase we used a lot in the military. It's about keeping the initiative, making the enemy react to us, and not vice versa. Now, to do that, we need a disciplined party. Now, when I mean discipline, I don't mean punishment, adamnation. That's like the concept of discipline. That's not discipline. Discipline is when your leadership has purpose and direction and provides a framework for everyone to operate and gives a system and a process to where everybody can collaborate and everybody has a place and everybody has a future and everybody is eating from the pie. When you're excluding people, I mean like really excluding people, or now you don't want to bring in the wrong people, but leadership means you take the people who could be the wrong people and you put them in the right capacities. You don't just let it be a free-for-all. Like right now, we're eating each other alive because it's a free-for-all. It's a free-for-all. I mean, they got everybody, our leadership, our office holders, our main office holders at the state level, didn't pick running mates for the open positions that are going on, and everybody's going for each other's throats. It's like a big civil war. And add on to it that certain people have been put in positions that are incompetent and incapable, who are toxic themselves, and you just got a mess. And the Dems are loving this. They're watching it and they're laughing. And we don't get any guidance from anybody. Everybody's just running off doing their own thing. It's kind of like that situation in Lord of the Rings where the ring bearer is missing. So the guys who were the fellowship is like, what do we do? Well, I'll go kill some orcs. Well, I'll go kill some goblins. Well, I'm going to go over and help these people over here. That's how we're operating right now. And we got to fix it. Trump gave purpose and direction. Even if you don't like it, there's Republicans that don't like Trump. I got it. But he gave purpose and direction to the GOP. And the Republicans I see that bitch out Trump give zero purpose and direction. They give zero planning, guidance, analysis, or leadership. But yet they want to bitch Trump all the time. Trump gave purpose and direction to this party, and he did what was the unbelievable was what he did, and he might even come back and win. Regardless of his flaws or his points, the man led. He led, and we need more of that. We definitely need more of that. So we had a chance at a red wave. My take on it was the Republican National Congress completely blew it. I mean, we got the House barely. We could have had the Senate. We could have had a lot of states, gubernatorials, but we didn't. We blew it. They didn't back the candidates, and there could have been a lot of reasons. Rudyard Kipling, he had a saying, there's 1,000 reasons for failure, but not one single excuse. So it's so pedantic to analyze why. It doesn't matter. This lesson learned, figure out who dicked the dog or who, what, where. It's nonsense. It's nonsense. The bottom line is we didn't accomplish it. We didn't accomplish the red wave. We barely got it back. We can make up stories all we want and say, well, look at the good news. We got the House. Well, we could have gotten it all. We could have gotten it all. And this is the killer instinct point that I'm going to get into. We don't have the warrior spirit, and we definitely don't have a killer instinct. Number 4, before I get into killer instinct, with discipline, if we had more discipline, this is very important. This is what we could do with discipline. We could prevent the wrong people from getting into power and leading us in the wrong direction, which is happening a lot. I mean, think about it. As much as the mainstream GOP didn't like Trump, they couldn't stop him. This party was not strong enough to retain against an outsider who was able to come in, go to swing states, and beat the party favorites because he showed the party favorites were weak. Remember that with Jeb Bush? Jeb Bush spent millions in New Hampshire. Trump spent hardly anything, and Trump beat him. And remember Trump telling Jeb Bush on the stage, oh, you're a tough guy, Jeb. Yeah, you're a real tough guy. He was basically calling the guy a wuss, a coward, a weakling. And Bush just stood there and took it. Yeah, I mean, the party didn't have the strength to handle a Trump. So that means the Republican Party can easily be taken over. It's just a matter of who and with what and when. And this isn't a sustainable way to function. It isn't at all. We got to build stables with good candidates. Good candidates who are qualified and competent. A good old boy system is going to fail. Good old boy systems are horrible. A good old boy system's great if all the good old boys can function. You know, the founder of Delta Force, Charlie Beckwith, had a saying, I'd rather go down the river with 7 studs than 17 dipshits or 70 dipshits. Meaning, you know, more is not better. If more means confusion, chaos, and infighting, I'd rather have less. And that's where we got to do it. You got to be inclusive, but you got to be inclusive with the right people. I found that struggle with the Skylands Tea Party. A lot of the old timers wanted to be more inclusive, but they wanted to bring in people who were mentally ill. They wanted to bring in people who would damage us, people who would actually hurt our cause. No, I'm going down the river, and I'm taking people who will fight and be disciplined. I'm taking people who are they're not yes men. They challenge you, they'll question, and sometimes there'll be disagreements. But there'll be people that will reliably perform. Not people who make messes and start fights for no reason. And this isn't who you bring in. And now, if you just want a big club where everybody bitches and you just want to have a hangout, yeah, by all means. But I'm not going to waste my time that way. And competent people aren't going to waste their time. If I want to go bitch and hang out with guys, I'll go to the VFW for a few drinks, and I'll be in much better company than in a group of angry old people. But if you don't operate in a way where you can provide purpose and direction, you can lead by example. Like I tell, when I'm in leadership politically, I say, this is what I'm doing. I'm going to the school boards. I'm going to speak at the school boards. I'm going to help the groups who find candidates for school boards find them. I'm going to dig up dirt, and I'm going to write against the people running against our people, you know, the sickos, the groomers, the people who don't know anything about education or character development, who just want to get in there and talk about sex with kids, underage kids. I'm going to go after those people. We're going to write articles against them. We're going to fight with them on social media. We're going to challenge them. We're going to make them answer. We're going to make them answer, and we're going to make them tell the people what they're about. And we did. And we were able to, we collectively flipped a lot of school boards in my county. And we got a lot of bad actors off those school boards. There were some sick people. There were some people who 20 years ago would have been in jail. And these people were on our school boards being applauded by the Democrats. These people would have been in jail 2 decades ago. But yeah, that's how we did it. But that's purpose and direction. That's leading by example. I didn't tell my people, go to school boards. I said, I'm going to the school board. You're going to see me on the media talking in front of the school board. You're going to see me getting yelled at by the Dems. And I'm asking you to come help. And a lot of them showed up. They didn't get up there and speak. Only a few did. But they showed up and cheered. Okay, so yay, thanks guys. Thanks for coming. But that's what leading by example is. And it had a tremendous effect. Because every school board I went to, I would get contacted by local mothers. And they'd say, we want to run. We want to find people to run. How do we do it, Joe? So then I would put them over with the advocacy groups, the groups that were focused, like Horizon, all these groups, and then they would take them and run with it, and that's how we did it. And I played a small part, but a lot of guys played some serious roles and did a lot of great work. And we're winning in the school board level now, thank God. In my county, though. The rest of New Jersey is a disaster, but in my county, we did good. The fourth thing, there's 5 things. I'm going to go into number 4. And that is a warrior controls his own resources. Cicero said, the sinews of war, infinite money. Napoleon said, an army marches on its stomach. A common adage is, amateurs talk tactics, professionals talk logistics. So we have a weakness in the Republican Party in that when a Republican candidate runs, check this out, okay? You're going to run for office. You want to run as a Republican candidate, right? Let's say you're good, you're qualified. People want you to run. You go to run. You got to raise your own money. Will the party help you? Well, my party would. But for the most part, a lot of Republican parties won't even help you. And then when you do raise money, or if, let's say, the party gives you money, it's a loan, you got to pay the party back. How does that figure? We're sponsoring you as a candidate. We're getting you in office, and then we're going to say, hey, we gave you $2,000. Give it back. We gave you $10,000. Pay it back from your campaign. Maybe, yeah. But shouldn't we be worried about other things? That's something I think we should talk about and definitely address, is financially supporting good candidates. We got to figure out how that's going to go down, because right now it's rough. It's rough. The Dems, everything the candidate wants to do, it's on them. The candidate's got to do their own media campaign. The candidate's got to lock on their own venues. The candidate's got to do everything. Where does the party come in? And that's another problem, is where does the party come in? And we end up backing our favorites, and then our favorites get beat by grassroots guys. It's a little wild. The Democrats jump in, and they really know how to exploit this weakness. The Democrats jump in, and they'll thwart our candidates by having local municipalities or local venues stop the events. Hey, this might be a problem. There might be violence, or we don't approve of your values, or you offend this person if you do this event in this restaurant because this person thinks that you're anti-abortion and they're pro-abortion. So then the Dems will go in and stop these events from happening, and they beat us at that. It's pretty good. And then they dissuade media. I worked on a congressional campaign as a volunteer. This guy couldn't get any media attention. None. Zero. Zip. Here he was running against a very powerful Democrat, and the media isolated him. It isolated him. And that campaign hired a media professional who didn't like Trump and all that, and it didn't work. It didn't work. This guy never got off the ground with it. And where was the party? Where was the GOP? Where was the GOP? Did the GOP come in and pull influence? Not that I know of. I didn't see it. So donors, you're trying to raise money, and I've learned a lot about donating, and I've learned a lot about fundraising, and I've learned a little bit about donors, and I've had some pretty private conversations with some pretty wealthy guys, and they're like, Joe, is there a way I can get money to you without anybody knowing it? I'm like, well, first of all, I think that's illegal. I don't do this dark money crap. But they go, no, you understand, Joe, I got these investments here, and I got a factory over in Ohio, and I got all this stuff. But if I take money and I give that money, if I donate to any Republican thing, the unions call me up, and they see that I donated, and they chew my ass, and they threaten me. I said, are you serious? They threaten to take away workers. They threaten. I don't know if that's illegal, but the unions do it. The unions threaten and intimidate business owners and donors. And it's not just unions, it's other activist groups, Democrat activist groups. They will go after our donors, so our donors are scared. We don't do that to the Dems at all. We should. We should play fire with fire. We're killing the bear. We can't be friends with the bear. The bear's going to eat our kids, and the bear is figuratively eating the morals, eating the souls of our kids in these schools, and they're destroying the country. And we're on the brink of nuclear war, for Christ's sake. Our border's overrun. We got a lot of problems. If you're a conservative, you're not happy with the way America is right now. And even the Dems aren't happy with the way America is. They just don't have the guts to come out and say they were wrong. But that's what's going on. So they're scaring our donors. They're canceling our venues. They're thwarting our candidates. And we're like, our candidates are on our own. You know, I can tell you story after story after story. I have candidates I reach to around the state, and they're like, we're not getting any help from anybody. You know, we had 2 African-American candidates who were phenomenal candidates in New Jersey. These guys would have been amazing. These guys would have been competent, effective. They had backgrounds, they had educations, they had experiences. We didn't even help them. Now, I don't think it was a racial issue at all, but they weren't in the clique. They weren't part of the New Jersey Country Club, Old Boys Republican Club. So these 2 guys never got off the ground, and I met both of them, and I thought both of them were superb. But hey, that's just my judgment, right? But, you know, it's cliques. It's old boy networks and it's cliques. And if we keep dealing with this as a party, we're going to keep losing because the Dems don't do this. The Dems don't do this. They find, when they have somebody who can hit baseballs, when they get somebody who can hit a ball and hit a base hit, they give them a job on the team. Now, I don't want to give people jobs who can't get base hits. I don't want to bring people in who are going to make a mess and strike out. But when we got people who are hitting base hits, when we got people who are functional, and we're excluding them, that's a sin. That's a failure on leadership. We allow such a autonomy amongst our county GOPs and their resources and the way they function. We don't audit them. We don't ask them to account for what they do. We got one party in the state, one of the most populous counties in the state, and this party chair has been there since since New Jersey was founded by the Dutch. I mean, this guy's been there forever. And he openly sells approval, it's called the line, to candidates. He'll have his lawyer do it. And this has already been exposed. The text, if you gave us $45,000 or whatever, we'll give you the line. So we got a party chair who is selling influence. And not only we in the GOP aren't trying to stop this guy, the Democrats don't try to stop this guy. You think if I'm the Attorney General of the state of New Jersey and I get wind that a political boss is selling influence, I'm going to indict this guy. The Democrats don't indict him. Well, this Republican Party in this particular county this county always goes Democrat. He's the controlled opposition. He is sabotaging the Republican cause in this county so the Democrats can keep power in the county and keep their congressional seat. You can't. I mean, this is something like out of Afghanistan. This is like the way Afghanistan worked, and this is here in New Jersey, and we're not fighting it. We're not standing it. In fact, I know for a fact that the New Jersey GOP actually worked with this guy in a lot of stuff and supported some of this guy's chosen candidates against other candidates. There was a candidate I liked a lot. I consider a friend, but I couldn't support him because he was with this guy. I'm not going to ever back corruption in any way, shape, or form. And if you're bribing and selling influence and soliciting bribes in a position of political power, I think you should be. The ancient Romans would have put you in a bag with vipers and thrown you off the Tarpeian Rock into the Tiber River. Those were my ancestors. And I believe political corruption is one of the worst crimes you can commit. You're betraying the people. And the Constitution doesn't define that as treason, but I think it's pretty close. And we as Republicans are the ones who are against this stuff. So we have that problem to begin with. So the Dems keep this guy in charge. And if we had warriors instead of, country club activity directors, then this wouldn't be happening. Fundraising, we raise funds among our own committees, and the same donors take back the donations for their fundraisers. I hate to use this crude term, but it's a circle jerk. When one moves to raise the funds outside the clique, all these problems occur. And I'm going to start doing that. I'm going to start raising funds outside. I'm just going to go on my own. I'm going to do my best. I'm going to start talking to people who care, and I'm going to start doing fundraisers and raising money with groups that are normally not involved with the Republican committee. I'm going to raise them for Republican candidates, Republican causes, conservatives that is, And if I'm doing it on my own, I'm going to pick who I'm going to donate the money to, because I'm not seeing the success that I believe we should be having. But yeah, warriors don't run cliques. Warriors scheve cliques. You know, and in my entire time in the military, whenever I saw a bad unit, there were cliques in that unit. Warriors run armies. Warriors run armies, battalions, brigades. Warriors don't do cliques. And when you have cliques in a party, and as long as the Republican Party is parochial about these cliques, and as long as we keep allowing the culture of saying, "Oh, I need a local guy. I don't want a carpetbagger," like us in Pennsylvania. He lost to Fetterman, a man who is mentally ill, who's a communist, who's incompetent, who's a rich slush fund guy. This guy's the most unqualified guy in the world. This guy couldn't get hired to be a picker at an Amazon warehouse. And now this guy's a senator? All because the Republicans in Pennsylvania called Oz a carpet. It was the Democrats calling him a carpetbagger. But Republicans didn't vote for this guy, who was intelligent and qualified, all because he wasn't from there. The Democrats give Hillary Clinton a Senate seat out of New York. They gave it to her. And the Westchester County and the Hudson Valley loved it. They took her and embraced her. Barack Obama's from Hawaii, but he gets to be a senator from Illinois. You see the pattern? You see the pattern? The Dems don't have this stupid hang-up. Did you go to high school with my uncle? Oh, yeah, I'll vote for you. I mean, Jesus Christ. I mean, this is how these people think. No wonder we're losing. No wonder we're losing. If your region or your high school doesn't produce the capital, the intellectual capital, or the moral capital for somebody to achieve high office, that's not the end of the world. You can still get somebody who'll take care of you and listen to you. He doesn't have to have played football with your nephew, for Christ's sake. But as long as Republicans have this mentality, they're going to keep losing. This is a very Neolithic third world mentality. And that's why we're losing in New Jersey, because New Jersey is pathetic like this. You'd think such an educated, advanced state, a state with so much history of industrial and economic success, would have this level of provincial parochialism. You wouldn't think that, but it's the case. It's probably worse here than anywhere. The cliques, I find, are not good. They don't care if we win or lose, because the clique exists for the clique. The clique doesn't care if we gain more Republican seats. The clique doesn't care if we lose a major town or a district or a county to the Democrats. The cliques don't care. The cliques are in politics to benefit the clique. They are the blowhard warrior. The cliques accomplish nothing. They get offices, sometimes legislature, sometimes commission, sometimes Congress. The cliques get their roles. And then the cliques get there, these guys do nothing. They accomplish nothing. They talk a great game, but they don't write legislation. They don't do policy. They don't bring jobs in. When they do something, it's a big, tremendous failure where they blame everybody but themselves. And they spend most of their time fighting other Republicans. That's what the cliques do. The cliques spend 90% of their time bitching other Republicans, but they never fight the Democrats. I see the most conservative, local, good old boy, clique guys. I never once see them fight the Democrats. They're always fighting other Republicans. Interesting. They want to attack other Republicans publicly. I won't do that. You won't see me come here. I'm talking shit here and I'm giving some criticisms, but I'm not naming names because I don't want to hurt my party. I want my party to improve. I want my party to do better. I want my party to win. I want to see conservatives win. I want to see America become strong, prosperous. I want to see my community become prosperous. I want to see the Bill of Rights become sacrosanct. I want to see justice in the communities. I want to see reforms of government organizations. I want to see economic stimulus. I want to see lower taxes. I want to see more jobs. I want to see greater income streams. I want to see better use of resources. I want to see advanced precision agriculture developed. I want to see us trading on the global market. I want to see our industries excelling. That's what I want to see from my state and my local area. The cliques don't give a damn about any of that. I've been in the room. I've heard them speak. I know what's on their mind. I've been watching them now for 2 years. The cliques don't care about any of that. All the cliques care about is however they're cashing in their political position. And all the cliques care about is their egos and their titles and all that kind of stuff. All they care about. And they will undermine, betray, and lie disgracefully. disgracefully. And what's sad is because we lack the warrior spirit in the Republican Party, we tolerate them. We indulge them. And then they intimidate and push and blackmail and do all these horrible things that some of them are illegal to get away with everything. And then they get positioned as a result. And that's why you'll look at these positions. And the Dems have a field day with this. The Dems will look at some of our positions, some of our office holders, and be like, this person is functionally illiterate. The Dems will laugh because we got infiltrators in all their social media private groups. And I can't argue with them. They're like, you have this person in this position for how many years and they've done nothing for anybody. Oh, and by the way, your county workers hate them. Or your municipal workers hate them. By the way, the unions, everybody hates this person. Why are they in position? Well, the committee appointed them. The committee appointed. And then when we run an election, you either vote for the far left lunatic or you vote for one of our cliquey good old boys or whatever, but that's the Republican ticket. So you vote for this unappeasing, unattractive, horrible, incompetent, or you vote for the far left lunatic who really will do damage. And that's the choice that the Republican areas have. But this means that when the Dems, this is what happened in a major town in my area, when the Dems start getting someone who's capable and smart, like Josh Gottheimer's a very smart guy. He's a Democrat congressman, career politician, very smart, capable guy. Very smart and capable. Not a good guy. He's not a good American. He's definitely not a patriot. He's wishy-washy. He's a Pontius Pilate type. And he plays the game. He's there for power, and he's there but he knows how to win. He knows how to win. And when they start producing more guys like him, they'll be able to come in and say, hey, I'm actually fiscally competent. Hey, I actually know how to run a budget. Hey, I actually went to school and got a degree. Hey, I can actually bring money into the area. Hey, I've done all this stuff. And then these guys are going to win. And what the Dems are doing is very wisely, is they're making developments to bring in renters and people of lower middle income. They're raising costs, so this way the middle class either leaves or the middle class has to downgrade into being lower income. And they're creating an economy and they're creating a society of dependency to where they will win perpetually. It's just like a perverted version of Johnson's Great Society. And our cliques don't even understand what the Dems are doing, and they don't care. They want their county contracts, they want their municipal contracts, and their conservative values are only good for talking in a bar and having a drink. Because conservative values are as good as toilet paper if you can't win elections, if you can't raise money, and if you can't beat the Dems. And as long as we're playing these silly games, we're going to lose. So the cliques are definitely our biggest albatross around our neck. I had an analogy I was going to give, but I'm not now for the sake of time. Warriors go for the kill. Number 5, this is the 5th habit. This is the 5th habit we need to adapt. A warrior goes for the kill. Back to the early metaphor. Your family's starving. Your little kids are crying. They're having hunger pains. As a father, this is killing you. This is unacceptable. I'll admit, I'll do anything to feed my kids if they were hungry. I'll do anything. There's probably nothing I wouldn't cross the line to feed my own kids. I don't care if anybody judges me. Sorry. That's what we're here to do. And I don't respect any man who couldn't feed his own kids. I wouldn't shake his hand. I wouldn't talk to him on the street. You can't make sure your kids are eating and they have a warm place to sleep and a safe place to be. You're not a man in my view. Your kids are starving. You got a bear hunting them. You shoo the bear away. I mean, I'm in the woods a lot. I have a farm. I got bears on my farm. You don't shoo bears away. That doesn't happen. Do you make a deal with the bear? Can you negotiate with a bear? Well, like the Democrats, the bear speaks a different language, has a different worldview, and doesn't care if you live or die. And that's the case with the Dems. The bear only stops hunting you and becomes your family's food when you kill it dead. So in a peaceful society, how do we replicate this metaphor to our political battles? And that's where I'm going to tell you. I have it as 4 points. The 4 points of how to go for the kill politically. And this is what I've gotten good at in 2 years. In 2 years of being an operative, I've developed a reputation as someone who knows how to go for the kill. And I've done it. I've run guys off social media. I brought down office holders. I know how to go for the kill. I know how to be a political hitman. I'm learning pretty well. I do exactly what we were trained to do in the military in terms of targeting. Exactly. Pretty much the same, except we don't send a platoon to go shoot the guy. It just ends up being verbiage or other stuff, legal stuff, peaceful stuff. But the first one is appointees. You can't let Democrat politicians get their appointees, and I don't care how nice these appointees are. I don't care how wonderful these appointees are. I don't care if you think this appointee is going to be this reasonable person. We're in a war. We're just not shooting each other yet. We're in a political war. War is politics through the means. Our politics now is toxic, and we have to accept the situation for what it is. We're in a toxic political environment. We are not going back. Just like my first video, we're not going back. So appointees at all levels, local, regional, state. We have to publish the flaws of every appointee they put in. We have to charge them with ethics violations. They do it to us. We got a conservative on a school board. If that conservative so much as blinks wrong, they nail him with an ethics violation. We need to do the same to them. They put a DA in office. It's one of theirs. We don't accept it. Michael Collins said about the British during the Irish War for Independence, we win by a refusal to acknowledge their authority. And that's how we have to play this. That's how, within all legal means, we win by a refusal to acknowledge their authority. Their DAs are horrible. They activate. I can right now go to my local police station, name any one of you guys watching me right now, and say, you guys threatened me. He said bad things about me. Now, the state police would want to see proof, but if I went to a local township, that local township would go seize your guns under the red flag law. You would have to pay thousands of dollars and wait months to get your gun back, to get any of your weapons back. And the AGs don't give a damn. And it gets worse in a lot of other ways too. When it comes to their political agenda, they will screw and trample your rights beyond comprehension. So we cannot accept their appointees, and we got to pressure. And this leads to something. This leads to our ability to negotiate. When they can't get their appointees to be successful, they're not going to get people who want appointed positions. And then they're going to come to us and they're going to say, look, guys, we may be the majority in the legislature, but we really want to get Fred in as the head of the Water Commission. We really do. We want to get Fred this job because Fred gave us $50,000, $100,000, and Fred got my son into this prestigious school. So we really want to get Fred this job. And then at that point we say, okay, we got this bill we want you to make us get through. And that's how we negotiate, not this compromise cross the aisle crap. So they recently made fools of us. We had, and again, the clique. Here we got a guy in the legislature. He's the son of a legislator. I think he's the grandson of a legislator. He's a partner in a law firm. And his whole life has been be a partner in a law firm and be in the legislature. So this is a guy who would never probably have a drink with me or talk with me unless he thought he could use me. This is a guy who would look down on a poor dumb soldier who's stupid enough to go fight in Iraq and Afghanistan. These guys are beyond military service. These guys are beyond all this parochial crap. This guy wouldn't talk to you if you didn't go to an Ivy League or a near Ivy League school or some prestigious school in New Jersey. It's like the New Jersey version of the Ivy League. And this guy puts together this program to say, hey, look, we want to keep porn out of the hands of kids. We want to keep all this toxic stuff out of the hands of the kids. These kids are walking around with phones. So he puts together a bill to make it happen. So the Democrats do a bipartisan thing and say, sure. And then they go and take credit for it and say, well, this bill is going to keep right-wing extremism out of the hands of the kids. This bill is going to keep the kids from listening to Donald Trump. This bill is going to... They pulled the wool over our eyes and they turned the tables on us. Now, this is a partner in a major law firm who got tricked. If I got tricked in Iraq this way, I'd be fired. If I was an American officer in Iraq or Afghanistan who got tricked by a local like this, who got fooled, he'd be done. He'd be done after that. Yet these guys can bungle this level. They can bungle on this level. So I don't believe this man was bad. I don't believe this man was collaborating with the Dems. I don't believe this man was corrupt. I believe these guys just don't have the warrior spirit. A warrior doesn't concede to his enemy, and the Dems are the enemy. And if they can't get that through their head that the Democrats are the enemy, I mean, I don't know what to do with them. I don't know what to do with them. When Hitler was shooting V2 rockets at London, did you turn around and say, well, Hitler, he's a human being just like us. We're all Earth. We're all from the planet Earth. We all, I'm sure Hitler loves little kids. I'm sure he's a happy guy. I'm sure. Look how he loves his dog. Look how he loves his dog. Hitler loves dogs. He loves animals. He was a big animal rights guy, actually. So, what do these guys got to get through their head? That we have a political party that is acting like an occupying force, refuses to compromise with us. Not only does it refuse to compromise us, it does everything in their power to destroy and ruin us. Personally, professionally. At what point are you going to realize we're at war with these people? They're at war with us. And if you're at war with someone, negotiation doesn't mean concede. That all you're doing is letting the enemy win. So this is something we got to work on. Donors. The second point of how to take the fight to the enemy is donors. The Democrats dox our donors. They intimidate our donors. They send their unions to threaten our businessmen. We got to do the same thing. We got to do exactly the same thing. The Dems aren't going to stop doing this. We're not going to fly an anti-American flag or some special interest group flag on some public building and make them like us. It's not going to happen. Every time we've conceded with them, they've pulled the wool over our eyes. What are we going to learn? In New Jersey, the Democrat Party will not work with Republicans unless you betray other Republicans to them, or unless you push their agenda to a much greater level than your own. So they'll give them an arm, and they flick you a booger. And that's how they work with you here. I know. The way to leverage them is you have to make as much pain for them at their weak points, more pain for them than they're willing to handle. And then I'm going to take off the pressure if you comply. Just like in non-lethal, anyone who's done non-lethal combatives. I do a chokehold, I got a wrist lock going on, I'm hitting you on a pressure point. The pain increases until you comply. And with that mentality, by us going after their donors, by us dealing their venues, by us going after their appointees, by us litigating, by us facilitating or sponsoring litigation against any and all of their policies, until we amp it up to that level, we're going to keep losing. And we have legislatures right now who have made a living on giving away the store to the Democrats. And I don't mean the JFK Democrats, I mean the far left Democrats. The New Jersey legislature passed AA 4454, which says children as young as 5 will hear about gender identity, homosexual sex, regular head or straight sex. Children as young as 5 are going to be getting curriculums like this. AA 4454. This is a legislature that says children in public schools are so worthless that they will be exposed. Look, I grew up in New York City in the 1980s. It was a nasty place, and the schools were horrible. And we saw a lot of horrible shit. But we knew it was wrong. I didn't have my teacher showing me pictures of what looks like a mosaic of a pagan bacchanalia. And that's what they're putting in front of these kids. Not in a lot of schools. We stopped it. And these schools have to go against New Jersey curriculum standards. They have to go against the New Jersey Teachers Union to do this. And then the school board themselves, all volunteers who get elected, when they go against this, they get turned on. They get their kids bullied in school. They get shamed. They get doxxed. They get harassed. And they do it all for nothing, but it's like they believe in it. So we have people out there who are putting they're putting themselves to be vulnerable to the mob. And our party leadership is not doing what I believe they should be providing as party leaders. And I don't think it's because they're bad guys. Like I said, I met them. They're incredibly competent, smart, good dudes. But I don't believe that they are aware that their role should change. They need to take a leadership role and engage with their operatives, their school boards. They need to take a leadership role and help people at the ground level. Because right now, we're all on our own. We're flapping. We're flapping. Now we're doing a hell of a fight flapping, but we could be winning on a state level if we had it more. The Dems create economic hardship, and then they act like they're the saviors for it. Their policies are horrible. Now take Gottheimer, for example. I mentioned him by name. He's a Democrat, and he's a congressman. He's a wishy-washy career politician Democrat, and I've actually met him in person once. Before I really started getting animated politically, I was still open to bipartisanship. I was still open to all this stuff, and I met him. I met him at in a township. He was coming to help with a problem. And my township leadership didn't call our state senator. They didn't call our state assemblyman. Didn't call any Republican. Our town mayor at the time was a Republican, and I live in a very Republican town. They called Gottheimer. And I asked, why? Why? And they said, because we didn't want any politics involved. But the bottom line was, they didn't think that our state senator and our assemblyman could help them on this issue. The issue was an abandoned old building with gas tanks in it, and the enviros wouldn't let it get sold, so the place became an eyesore dumping ground for vandalism and squatters, and it was just a mess. And they wanted the rules changed so they could dig it up, excavate it, clean it up, and then sell it. And Gottheimer showed up, and he was the one helping. And that's where I met him. But they went to him. Now he's a congressman. He's now stepping down into a state-level activity to take care of a state environmental issue. And he's a federal congressman. And they trusted him more than the Republican leaders, and these are Republicans. I know that mayor, and she is by no means a hungry political operative. She is no means corrupt. She's one of the nicest, most honest, and genuine people in the world. She did not believe the Republicans could help her in that town, and she wanted to do what was best for the town. And as long as that is the case, the Democrats are going to win. Because as bad as this guy Gottheimer is, with his policies, with his voting, with his wishy-washiness, with his support of Pelosi, with his usually bad foreign policy point, well, as bad as he is, he helps his people. Because that is what a politician's supposed to do. And our Republican Party is so busy fighting for lofty ideals and acting in ways of being prestigious and in their own paradigms, they're missing the fact that they're supposed to be on the ground helping their people. So they got to be able to go for the kill. And you're not going to go for the kill unless you're able to put pressure on the enemy. And you're able to, in this case, winning the battle. Winning the battle is winning the hearts and minds of the people. And you don't do that when they don't trust you to take care of their problems. And if you're not available to take care of their problems, you're not going to get it done. And talk is cheap. You have to show action. And the Dems in New Jersey are better at showing action than the Republicans are. And if we don't fix this, we're going to lose. We're going to lose. And we're already starting to lose. To sum up, we in the Republican Party, to fight effectively, we need a warrior spirit. We have to grow, train, and support our army. Our army is our party, our operatives, our volunteers, our elected our office holders. We got to keep discipline. Discipline isn't punitive. It isn't admonishment. You can't admonish a volunteer. I mean, everything I do is volunteer. I don't get paid. I don't get rewards. I don't get anything tangible. So you can't criticize me. I just pick up my toys and go home. You want our help? You got to give us purpose and direction and guidance. Like I give my people, like the people I work with, my friends, my associates that volunteer with me, we collaborate and we come up with our own purpose, direction, and guide, and purpose and direction and vision. We don't get that from our leadership at all. And I don't mean party leadership, I mean senior office holders and state level. Now, some would say, well, it's not supposed to be that way. It's not supposed to be that way. We're all our own tribes. We're all our own parties in each county. Well, that's why we're losing. That's why we're losing. Because the Dems operate as a legion. They operate as an army. We're a bunch of little country clubs. And the last I checked, a country club can't beat an army in a war. Until we get our act together, this is what we're going to be. So thanks for watching. This has been the what and the how of our mission. You've already gotten the what, the fight, and this has been the how. The how. To reiterate, our how is to ultimately, it is the way we're ultimately going to take the fight effectively is we take care of our own, we take control of our resources, we take the fight to the end, we go for the kill, we take the fight to the enemy. We do that by attacking their appointees, their donors, just like they do. We use that to leverage instead of compromise. And then litigation. We got to be much better at litigation. So on those fronts is how we can gain the advantage and buy us the time we need to get people over to our side. The unaffiliated is the biggest political party in New Jersey. There's more people who aren't registered to vote than they are to vote. And these people swing back and forth. They'll vote for a Republican one day. They'll vote for Trump. They'll vote for Obama. They'll vote for Biden. They swing like crazy in New Jersey. The state is like this, and we need to buy time until we can get our message and our act together to where we can start actually getting and flipping this state, because we can. It's very possible. So thanks for watching. I'll be making more videos about the Democrats themselves. I'll be highlighting their buffoons. I'll be talking about their operations, how they operate. I'll go into various parts of my county and other counties and talk about how they operate. I'll be doing interviews with local office holders and how their takes on things. Hey, we're outside the wire. We're running now. I'll leave you with this prayer, a verse, a psalm to contemplate. This was where the great soldier, the NCOIC, the non-commissioned officer in charge, the sergeant in charge of Rorke's Drift during the Zulu Wars. So this guy, Frank Bourne, was surrounded. The unit was surrounded. Thousands of Zulus were attacking, and this small unit of Welsh soldiers, the Welsh 24th Foot, held them off. They held them off, and a small engineer unit was with them and some constabulary troops, and they held off this massive attack. It was very heroic. You see the movie. The movie's called Zulu with Michael Caine, and well, he used to the end becoming a lieutenant colonel. This Sergeant Bourne guy. He was a battlefield commission and all that, and he used to say the Psalm 46. He go, "Be calm, for I'll be exalted among the nations. I'll be exalted in the earth. The Lord of hosts is with us." It's a hell of a saying to go into battle with. God bless you all, and God bless America.